I'm telling business leaders, church leaders, and school leaders everywhere I can this message. 2021 will be the year of turnover. You say, William, 2020 has been hard enough. Why are you bringing me bummer news? Well, because the sooner you know that 2021 is going to have turnover, the sooner you can start to get ready for it. You will have someone leave your organization this year that you never saw coming. Being ready for that makes all the difference. You say, why is it going to be a year of turnover? I'll give you a few reasons right out of the gate. First of all, turnover has not been happening. Turnover is a natural part of life. And as much as you'd like to think your church staff are your people, they're not. They're Jesus people. And Jesus, you remember, he got in trouble with his friends forever for going from town to town and not sitting still. Where is he? Where did he go? Did we lose him? He's gone again. The kingdom is a living, moving, breathing thing. And it's very normal for turnover to happen. But in 2020, turnover hasn't happened. People said, I can't leave during a pandemic. Literally, I can't move legally. I can't leave my house. Whatever the reason, people that might have made a change sometime from all the way back in February till now have not. So what's a natural flowing river of turnover has had a giant dam put in front of it called the pandemic. Once that comes down, and now that we see vaccines are on their way, it is coming down. Once that comes down, there'll be pent up turnover that's going to wash over things. Secondly, people are just going to be ready for a change. I mean, my goodness, who isn't ready for a change after this last year? A lot of businesses have done very well in the year of the pandemic, but people that work with us, generally speaking, are ready to be done with all of this. And as soon as we are done with it, they're going to be ready for something new. It's almost like if you've ever had a friend that takes a sabbatical or had a staff member take a sabbatical, you give them a sabbatical, they go away for a month or two, they come back, and within a year, they're gone to another job. Why is that? Are sabbaticals a bad idea? Heavens no. Sabbaticals are awesome. What they do, though, is they get your head out of a routine and a rut and get you up looking around at the horizon. Many times a sabbatical causes people to look on the horizon and say, it's time for a shift or a change. Well, I know we've not been sitting still. Most of the people I know are working harder this year than they have in the 5 years previously, but it has been a year, not of sabbatical, but definitely a year that's gotten us out of our rut, definitely a year that's gotten us out of our routine, definitely a year where as the pandemic begins to wane and vaccines come into play, people are going to be able to look out on the horizon and say, do I really want to spend what I have left in life doing this same thing? Many will say yes, but many will say it's time for a change. One thing about pandemics or wars, it teaches people and reminds them, as Moses said, teach us to number our days. We're numbering our days. One of my very best friends is very, very sick with COVID. Taught me to number my days. Many of you have lost a loved one. You're numbering your days. And when we number our days, we say, well, time is short and I better spend it doing the right thing. That will lead to turnover. People will be ready for a change. You know, another thing that's going on that no one really wants to admit is there's just depression. A lot of people may not change to a new ministry. They may just leave ministry. I was talking to a pastor recently of a very large church, and he said, William, my prayer for you is that you steward the next 18 months well, because it's going to be your busiest 18 months ever. I said, well, now you're just being nice. They said, no, I'm not being nice. I talked to thousands of pastors, and probably 80% of them are depressed. Probably more than half of them are about one more crisis away from just tapping out. There's not just going to be turnover to go to another thing. There's going to be turnover of people just leaving ministry. Turnover is coming for a lot of different reasons. On a smaller scale, we're already seeing churches, schools, ministries lose staff because the staff has decided with this pandemic, we've realized we want to live closer to our family of origin. We want to be near our people or our hometown. And there'll be a geographic shift. For decades, people have been spreading out geographically and not necessarily living where they're from. I predict that's going to change. Beyond wanting to be around family, there's geographic change that's happening. People moving out of major cities, wanting to move to smaller towns, people moving to different parts of the country where you can be outdoors more than not. There's a giant shift and churn coming. Some of it is because God is going to move in people's hearts and use this pandemic to make them say it's time for a change. Some are just going to be ready to be done. Some are going to be ready for a change to be closer to home or in a new geographic environment. And finally, some are going to realize that their job has completely changed. We're already seeing massive numbers of early retirements from headmasters of schools who are saying, I didn't sign up to be a virtual headmaster, and now I have to be one, and it's not going away. A lot of preaching pastors are going to say, I don't want to preach to a camera the rest of my life. I need to take a staff job as a pastor of pastoral care, or I need to take a job as a teacher, or I need to take a job that's not what this job has become because of the acceleration of 2020. There's a turnover coming. I could go a long, long time, but I promise you, in 2021, if you'll get ready for turnover now, you'll be ahead of the game and you won't be caught off guard by what I really believe will be a year of a COVID churn.